Hi everyone, it's Liam here from Rating the Races. So we've got our handicap marks for the week. First of all, just a quick shout. If you like these videos, drop them a like. Make sure you subscribe to our channel. And yeah, leave a comment as well if you feel like it. But definitely drop a like on the video just to let us know. So let's start off with the hurdlers in this video. And we're going to look at... First one we're going to look at is Bad, who has gone up £1. He's gone up £1 to... Sorry, he's gone up £2 to 122. Now, I thought that was a really good effort finishing second to Hansard. And there's a couple of reasons why I think it was a good effort. First of all, he's only 4. The 2 horses that were in front of him were both older than him. And I really think 4-year-olds do struggle in handicaps at this part of their career, particularly against horses that are probably going to end up in better races anyway. And I think both Hansard and Brentford Hope will. Yeah, and I thought it was a really, really good effort from Bad. He probably hit the front too soon. He probably went too early. And you got to remember that Connections thought he was really well handicapped when they ran him in the Boodles. You can see he finished 13th in the Boodles on his debut for Ben Pauling. Ben Pauling? Yeah, Ben Pauling. At 5 to 1. So he was a bit of a gamble, which is even more interesting because it's against the Irish horses. Obviously, the Irish horses are generally the ones that are gambled because we don't know a lot about them. But these Connections clearly thought, or other people clearly thought, that he was well handicapped. That was off 126. He's only up £2 to 122, so he's still £4 lower than when they thought he was going to win a Boodles or going to go very, very close in a Boodles. You know, a feature handicap. And to be honest, being that he's 4, turning 5, is there any reason to rush him? It's not like he's 7, 8, 9, and he needs to win races now. They could really look after him, and they could really target 2 races. 3 races. Wait till the end of the season. Look after him, get him learning more at home, jumping better, and just growing still because he's only 4. Go for the Imperial Cup at Sandown, where he's going to be off a relatively low weight, and then turn up for the county or under a penalty. I mean, if he was carrying a £6 penalty for winning a race at winning the Imperial Cup, for example, he would run off a mark of 128, £2 higher than when he went off 5 to 1 for the Boodles. If they think he's well handicapped, which I believe they do, and they thought he was well handicapped and handicapped well enough to win a Boodles, he could certainly go well in a county with a little bit more experience under his belt. He's had 2 good runs this season, his 3rd to Knickerbocker Glory, and then his 2nd to Hansard. Don't do anything else with him. Yeah, I'd be running him in the Imperial Cup and going from there and hoping to win that, and then trying to win the County Hurdle. I mean, look, he's here, 13. He actually traded 3 to 1 in the run as well in the Boodles. Just maybe lacked a bit of experience. Second horse that I want to talk about is Ho Jolie Smoke. I think I'll mispronounce this name a few times. I think I'll call it Holy Joe Smoke. But it's Ho Jolie Smoke. And I think he's bumped into one here in Edkeeper. He travelled well. Didn't quite pick up as strongly as Edkeeper. I think he was second in a good race. I think the form will work out well. I think 3rd was obviously progressive. He'd won his last 2. I think 4th and 5th are very well handicapped. I don't even think 6th and 7th are out of it with future races in mind, to be honest. But with that in mind, for Ho Jolie Smoke, he's one you've got to be very, very interested in next time. Now, he stepped up from 2 mile 3 to 3 mile, and maybe he didn't quite get home. But again, he's only young. He's only a 5-year-old. He's very lightly raced. He's relatively new to Dan Skelton. And I just think they don't need to rush him before the turn of the year. They can certainly win a race before the turn of the year. They could go to Wetherby on Boxing Day for the 2 mile 5 handicap for horses rated 0 to 130. Ho Jolie Smoke went up £2 to 120. I think he would take all of the beating in this race at Wetherby. The slight drop in trip would suit. And then next year, as in next calendar year, they can really look at what they want to do with him. Whether they think they can target him at a Coral Cup, or a Lanzarote Hurdle, or the Aintree Handicap Hurdle that they won with West Balboa, something like that with Ho Jolly Smoke. But certainly this time of year, this just before the turn of the year, they could win this race at Wetherby. But he's definitely one that I'm interested in going forward. Ho Jolly Smoke. We move on to the next horse, which is Brentford Hope, who went up a pound for finishing third. And as I've just mentioned, I think that was a really good race behind Hansard and Bad. I think both of them will end up proving that they're well handicapped. Obviously, last season he'd beaten the likes of Impose Trois. He'd finished second to Rabaul. He'd finished second to Dance with the Wind. I think he's still well handicapped, having only gone up £1. I think that race will work out well. He is a strong traveller and maybe doesn't always find when he needs to. And with that in mind, I think the Betfair Hurdle will be ideal for him. A big field like this is where I think we might find him running next. You can see that the lightly raced horses, he's almost like a York Sea or a Monvial or Teddy Blue. He's not had many runs. He is improving, and I think that's where we might see Brentford Hope next. And he would have a chance for sure off his new handicap mark, just £1 higher off 134. As I said, I do think that will work out really well, that race. The next horse I want to talk about is one that I think can win a race soon, and that is Hurricane Harvey. Now, Hurricane Harvey dropped £1 or £2. Let me just double check. £1 to 128. And he's getting back down towards the marks that he runs well off. You know, he finished second to Broadway Bob in a Pertemps qualifier or a handicap hurdle at Cheltenham off 127. So he's run now 128. Broadway Bob has obviously franked that form. He'd finished third to Emerton, not beaten far off 129. He's finished, he won a couple of races last season at Ludlow and Uttoxeter off 120 and 126. I think now is the next couple of runs are the runs that you want to catch Hurricane Harvey on. And because he's 9, I don't think you can be targeting the Pertemps final. I think you just need to go and win races now. Any race you can, you go and win. And there is a race that I think he could win, and it's the Pertemps qualifier. This one here. On Boxing Day. There's quite a few in this video for Boxing Day. It's a Pertemps qualifier. It's over 3 mile, which he's obviously running well over. And it's at Wincanton, which he has beaten Southfield Harvest at. He finished second of 3 to Garlaw, and he also finished third in a Badger Beers once before, behind Rocco and Potterman. You know, that's not bad form. He was beaten 8 lengths that day, but he had the likes of Captain Orr and El Presenti behind. He was actually running off a mark of 136 that day over fences. Now, he's only rated 128 over hurdles now, but clearly Wincanton suits. He's clearly down to a mark that he can certainly go well off. And he's one that I think should definitely be added to your NAGME with that race in mind. Let's just make a note of that. Wincanton, Boxing Day, Pertemps qualifier. As I said, I don't really think he's one that you can target for the qualifier in terms of trying to get him to qualify finishing third and hoping he runs well at the festival. I think he's one that there'll still be something more progressive than him, and they just need to win races with him now. I do think he'll qualify in the qualifier, as in he might finish second and third and find something that beats him, but I wouldn't then be thinking, oh, he's now going to go and win the Pertemps final. I think they need to be trying to win that race rather than trying to get a second, third or fourth place with him. The next horse I want to talk about is First Street, who is down £3 to 141 over fences and over hurdles. Now, he's only had the one run over fences, and it was disappointing. Second of 2 behind Borbali, or I think it said Borbali. That's not good form. But his hurdles form actually isn't bad. Even just 2 runs ago, he was beaten by Rabaul and 2 Friendly. Well, 2 Friendly had come into it off in really good form, and Rabaul is a good horse. They beat So Royale and they beat Fast Buck. That's not a disastrous run, to be honest, over hurdles. Just probably showing that he's not at that level. Some of his other runs, he was only beaten 9 lengths in a county hurdle. He was 6 and a bit lengths behind Marie's Rock in a rail kill, and he won a intermediate handicap last year. Now, he's down to 141. He actually finished third in the Betfair Hurdle in 2022 off 141, behind Glory and Fortune and I Like to Move It. Obviously, both went on to do subsequently good runs, and you can see that the R figure from Glory and Fortune that day was huge coming into it. So, that was good form. He finished third there. Nothing wrong with that effort. And he's also winning the intermediate hurdle, the Jerry Fielden, last season, beating Grieve Tanner and Teddy Bleu. And he won that off a mark of 146. He's rated 141. Surely they've got to go back to hurdles and go for some of these races. Look, I mean, why isn't the Betfair hurdle a big target? Running the Betfair hurdle off the same mark as when third, and if you think the horse has improved from that day anyway, which I think the horse did, obviously subsequently went on to finish second in a county hurdle off 142. Surely they've got to be the next two runs, or the runs that they should be focusing on, not over fences as it clearly didn't suit, and go back left-handed. Go back to hurdles, Betfair hurdle, county hurdle, off those marks that he can certainly run well off. I thought it was very strange to see the horse over fences. The next horse I want to talk about is Cobbler's Dream, who pulled up at Newbury, and the jockey reported that the gelding hung badly left-handed. So what do? Go right-handed. Where'd you go with him? This race here. 2 mile 5, 0 to 140 at Kempton. Why? He's a former Lanzarote hurdle winner. And when he won the Lanzarote hurdle, he ran off a mark of 128. He can run here, or he'll be able to run next time, off a mark of 131. Well, he won the Lanzarote of 128. He's also finished second in a Martin Pipe off 136. He finished, last season wasn't great over fences. They dropped him back to hurdles. His third to Dargiani wasn't a great effort in the Potemkin qualifier. It was his comeback run, and he was running off 136. He's dropped £5 since then. I mean, that race on Boxing Day, there's a few here for Boxing Day. 1, 2, there's 3 winners for you for Boxing Day if they all turn up. I said Boxing Day. The 2 mile 5 race at Kempton surely has to be where we see Cobbler's Dream next. And don't give up on him. I know he pulled up, but I think you're going to get a price about him because of that. So let's make a note of that. Kempton, 2 mile 5, Boxing Day. Actually, we need to make a note of First Street as well. Well handicapped over hurdles. Betfair? Question mark. And so that was Cobbler's Dream. And the final horse that I think is interesting going forward, and I was very surprised at the handicap change, is Jet Powered. The horse who's finished first, fifth, and pulled up now. Why is he interesting? Well, first of all, he dropped £3 to 128 for pulling up. Now, it was his first run for 336 days, and he may just be clueless still. Nico de Boinville pulled him off after he was far too keen for most of the race and then stopped very, very quickly. But similarly, Under Control did something like that as well. Stopped very quickly. So maybe there's just something not quite right in the Henderson camp with his horses. And possibly there was something wrong. And I mean, you've got to be... He went a 5-2 for this handicap on his first run. He's dropped £3. If he comes back... there is a doubt whether he'll ever run again for me because he's clearly very tricky. But his win at Newbury on his first start in that maiden hurdle was very impressive. And I think that's where you've got to come back again. You've got to go back again to Newbury for this 2.5 handicap here on the 30th of December, not Boxing Day this time, on the 30th of December, and take your chance there and see how you get on. If he comes out of this race and he's absolutely fine. Post-race, there was no abnormalities found. It could just be that he needed to run badly and he was far too keen. And with that in mind, on the 30th of December, if he turns up, you would have to be interested in him again and forgive him that run. So there's a few that I like over hurdles. Bad. I really hope they do a long-term plan now. Go Imperial Cup, County Hurdle. Ho Jolie Smoke can certainly win next time and look at 2024 for the feature races. Brentford Hope probably in a bit of a hurdle, along with First Street, who if drops back to hurdles is very well handicapped. Hurricane Harvey could win a potential qualifier now at Wincanton, where he's got some good form. Cobbler's Dream, I think, can win the race at Kempton, where he's got some good form. Clearly needs to go back right-handed. And Jet Powered was the weirdest handicap move, in my opinion, because clearly something was wrong, or Nico thought there was something wrong. So to see the horse drop £3 for that, next time it's going to be even more interesting.